So everybody please stand. May I request Miss Juna to please lead us a prayer. So, okay. Good morning, class. So, how are you today? Okay, that's good to hear. So, before you're going to take your seat, please pick up some pieces of paper and please arrange your chairs. So, class, is there absent for today's session? No. So, since no one is absent, let's move forward. So before we are going to start our proper class discussion, I have here an activity. So this is a group activity. I will group you into 4 groups. So I have here a scrambled letters. Then you're going to arrange this one into a word. Then after you came up into a word, look for its definition. So here, then you're going to write your output here at the band paper. So later on, I will pick one representative to present your output in front. So here is your rubrics as your guide. So I will give you 5 minutes to do your task. So your timer starts now. Okay, are you done, class? So let's move on to your group presentation. So the sequence, first group 1, the group 2, then the group 3, then the last is the group 4. Then group 1, start your presentation. Your score is based on your, this is not individual, this is a group. So for the group 1, I will give you 14, then group 2, 15 also, then for the group 3, I will give you 15, and the group 4. So that's your scores. So, okay class, we're done for your group activity. So, how do you find the activity class? It is difficult? So, that's good to hear. So, anyone, do you have any idea of what is the topic that are going to be discussed? So, our topic for today is all about punctuation. So, punctuation, it is the use of spacing and conventional signs. It aids to the understanding and the correct reading of the written text. So here are kinds of punctuation. The basic punctuation that we use in our written text. So first is the period. So the period, it is a punctuation mark used at the end of a sentence or in an abbreviation. So just like for example, this one. So Riley is playing basketball. So this one is a sentence. And then we use the period here at the end of the sentence. So just like for other example and abbreviation. Just like the abbreviation of example. Sometimes we used to write example instead of the word example. We usually write EX then period instead of the word example. So the other one is the comma. So the comma is the punctuation mark indicating a pause between parts of a sentence. So just like for example here, Jenny, Johnny, Shirley, and Janelle are studying at Southwestern University. So we use comma here because it indicating a pause between the whole sentence. So the other one, the question mark. So the question mark, it is a punctuation mark indicating the question. So just like for example, where do you live? So you are asking a question. So in a sentence, you are not going to use period if you are going to ask question. It's because the one you ask won't recognize that you're asking a question if you use period. So the other one is the exclamation point. So it is a punctuation mark usually used after an exclamation or interjection to indicate strong feelings or high volume, and often marks the end of a sentence. So just like for example, hey, what are you doing? So hey, we put the exclamation point here after the hey, which is the hey. It indicates strong feelings or high volume of a voice of the one who spoke the word. So punctuation is very important in sentences, in written, in passages, or in every written text, because we cannot fully understand the message of the text without the punctuations. So okay class, let's move on. For your next activity, so I will group you again into two groups. So I have here a printed reading materials. Then I will listen first for the instructions. So here are the printed reading materials. So for the instruction, so first read and understand the story entitled The Golden Ghost. Then after, list down the familiar words that you found in the story. Then look for their definition. Then later on, I will pick one representative to present your group work in front of the class. So for your guide, here are the rubrics. Just wait. So I will give you 10 minutes to do your activity. So your timer starts now. Okay class, are you done? Okay, so let's go for your presentation. We'll start for the group 1. Oh, very good class. So all of you did great. So there's nothing wrong so far. So here are your score. So both of you got a perfect score. 15. The two groups. So class, let's move on. Let's go to our proper class discussion. So as what we have said, so these are the unfamiliar words that you have found in the story that we have named The Golden Ghost. So the first is the limp, which means walk with difficulty, typically because of damage or stiff leg or foot. Then the other one is the parson. The parson is a minister who is in charge of a parish, or the other term is a priest. So the other one is the hostess, a girl or a woman who behaves in a disrespectful or inappropriate way. So the hostess, then the next is the haste. It is and excessive speed or urgency of movement or inaction. Then the other one is the sickles, a short-handled farming tool with a semicircular blade. It is a farming tool. Um, then the other one, the simpleton, a person lacking in common sense, or the other term is it is an idiot or stupid. Then the other one is the trotted, which means run at a moderate pace, typically with short steps. Then the last one is the cask. It is a large container like a barrel made of wood, metal, or plastic and used for storing liquids, typically alcoholic drinks. So class, I will read the story again. The story entitled The Golden Goose. Please listen carefully. So The Golden Goose, it is by Grimm Brothers. There was a man who had 3 sons. The youngest of whom was considered very silly, and everybody used to mock him and make fun of him. The eldest son wanted to go and cut wood in the forest, and before he left home, his mother prepared beautiful pancakes and a bottle of wine for him to take with him, so that he might not suffer from hunger or thirst. But the clever son replied, "What give you my cake and my wine? Why, if I did, I should have none for myself. Not I, indeed. So take yourself off." And he left the man standing. As he entered the forest, he met a great old man, who bade him good morning and said, "Give me a little piece of cake out of your basket and a drop of wine out of your bottle, for I am very hungry and thirsty." But the clever son replied, "What? Give you my cake and my wine? Why, if I did, I should have none for myself. Not I, indeed. So take off yourself." And he left the man standing and went out. The young man began cutting down a tree. But it was not long before he made a false stroke. The axe slipped and cut his arm so badly that he was obliged to go home and have it bound up. Now, this false stroke was caused by a little grey old man. Next day, the second son went into the forest to cut wood, and his mother gave him a cake and a bottle of wine. As he entered the wood, the same little old man met him, and begged for a piece of cake and a drop of wine. But the second son answered rudely, "What I might give to you I shall want myself, so be off." Then he left the little old man standing in the road and walked on. His punishment soon came. He had scarcely given 2 strokes on a tree with his axe, when he hit his leg such a terrible blow that he was obliged to limp home in great pain. Then the stupid son said to his father, "Let me go for once and cut wood in the forest." But his father said, "No, your brothers have been hurt already, and it would be worse for you who don't understand wood cutting." The boy, however, begged so hard to be allowed to go that his father said, "There, get along with you. You will buy your experience very dearly, I expect." His mother, however, gave him a cake which had been made with water and baked in the ashes and a bottle of sour beer. When he reached the wood, the very same little old man met him, and after greeting him kindly, said, "Give me a little of your cake and a drop from your bottle, for I am very hungry and thirsty." "Oh," replied the simple youth, "I have only a cake, which has been baked in the ashes and some sour beer. You are welcome to a share of it. Let us sit down and eat and drink together." So they seated themselves, and and behold, when the youth opened his basket, the cake had been turned into a beautiful cake, and sour beer into wine. After they had eaten and drunk enough, the little old man said, "Because you have been kind-hearted and shared your dinner with me, I will make you in future lucky in all you undertake. There stands an old tree. Cut it down, and you will find something good at the root." Then the old man said farewell and left him. The youth set to work, and very soon succeeded in felling the tree. When he found sitting at the roots a goose, whose feathers were of pure gold, he took it up and instead of going home, carried it within him to an inn at a little dance, where he intended to pass the night. The landlord had 3 daughters, who looked at the goose with envious eyes. They had never seen such a wonderful bird, and longed to have at least one of its feathers. "Ah," thought the eldest, "I shall soon have an opportunity to pluck one of them." And so it happened, for not long after the young man left the room, she instantly went up to the bird and took hold of its wing. But as she did so, the finger and thumb remained and stuck fast. In a short time after, the second sister came with a full expectation of gaining a gold feather, but as she touched her sister to move her from the bird, her hand stuck fast to her sister's dress, and neither of them could free herself. At last, in came the third sister with the same intention. keep away," screamed the other two. "In heaven's name, keep away." But she could not imagine why she should keep away. If they were near the golden bird, why should not she be there? So she made a spring forward and touched her second sister. And immediately, she also was made a prisoner. And in this position, they were obliged to remain by the goose all night. In the morning, the young man came in, took the goose on his arm, and went away without troubling himself about the 3 girls, who were following close behind him. And as he walked quickly, they were obliged to run one behind the other, left or right of him, just as he was inclined to go. In the middle of a field, they were met by the parson of the parish, who looked with wonder at the procession as it came near him. "Shame on you," he cried out. "What are you about, you bold-faced hussies, running after a young man in that way through the fields? Go home, all of you." He placed his hand on the youngest to pull her back, but the moment he touched her, he also became fixed, and was obliged to follow and run like the rest. In a few minutes, the clerkman met them, and when he saw the parson running after the girls, he wondered greatly and cried out, "Hello, master! Parson, where are you running in such haste? Have you forgotten that there is a christening today?" And as the procession did not stop, he ran after it and seized the parson's growth. In a moment, he found that his hand was fixed, and he also had to run like the rest. And now there were 5 trotting along, one behind the other. Presently, 2 peasants came by with their sickles from the field. The parson called out to them, and begged them to come and release him and the clerk. Hardly had they touched the clerk when they also stuck fast as the others. And the simpleton simpleton with his golden ghost traveled with the seven. After a while, they came to a city in which reigned a king who had a daughter of such a melancholy disposition that no one could make her laugh. Therefore he issued a decree that whoever would make the princess laugh should have her in marriage. Now, when the simple youth heard this, he ran before her, and the whole seven trotted after him. The sight was so ridiculous that the moment the princess saw it, she burst into a violent fit of laughter, and they thought she would never leave off. After this, the youth went to the king and demanded his daughter in marriage, according to the king's decree. But his majesty did not quite like to have the young man for a son-in-law. So he said that before he could consent to the marriage, the youth must bring him a man who could drink all the wine in the king's cellar. The simpleton went into the forest, for he thought, if anyone can help me, it is the little gray man. When he arrived at the spot where he had cut down the tree, there stood a man with a very miserable face. The youth asked him why he looked so sorrowful. "Oh," he exclaimed, "I suffer such dreadful thirst that nothing seems to be able to quench it. And cold water I cannot endure. I have emptied the cask of wine already, but it was just like a drop of water on a hot stone." "I can help you," cried the young man. "Come with me, and you shall have your fill, I promise." Upon this, he led the man into the king's cellar, where he opened the cask, one after another, and drank until his back ached. And therefore, the day closed, he had quit inside the king's cellar. Again, the young man asked for his bride, but the king was annoyed at the thought of giving his daughter such a common fellow. And to get rid of him, he made another condition. He said that no one should have his daughter who could not find someone able to eat up all whole mountain of bread. Away went the simpleton to the forest as before, and there is the same place sat a man biding himself, round tightly rebuilt, and making the most horrible faces. As the youth approached, he cried, "I have eaten a whole oven full of gruels, but it has not satisfied me a bit. I am as hungry as ever, and my stomach feels so empty that I am obliged to bind it round tightly, or I should die of hunger." The simpleton could hardly contain himself for joy when he heard this. "Get up," he exclaimed, "and come with me, and I will give you plenty to eat, I warrant." So he led him to the king's court, where his majesty had ordered all the flour in the kingdom to be made into bread and piled up in a huge mountain. The hungry man placed himself before the meal and began to eat, and before evening the whole pile had disappeared. Then the simpleton went a third time to the king and asked for his bride. But the king made several excuses, and at last said that if he could bring him a ship that could travel as well by land as by water, then he should, without any further conditions, marry his daughter. The youth went at once straight to the forest and saw the same old grey man to whom he had given his key. "Ah," he said, as the youth approached, "it was I who sent the men to eat and drink. And I will also give you a ship that can travel by land or by sea, because when you thought I was poor, you were kind-hearted and gave me food and drink." The youth took the ship, and when the king saw it, he was quite surprised. But he could not any longer refuse to give him his daughter in marriage. The wedding was celebrated with a great pomp, and after the king's death, the simple woodcutter inherited the whole kingdom and live happily with his wife. So class, as what I read and as what you have read, what is the moral of the story? So, very good. The moral of the story is the one who is good at heart will win priceless gift. So, who among you here can elaborate the moral of the story? So, okay, Miss Jela, please. Miss Jela. So, class, be good always. Avoid doing bad things because everything you did has a return. So, be good always to others so that they will treat you the way you want to be treated. Understood? So, okay. For your final task, this is an individual task. So, use the following words in a sentence. So, these words are the familiar words that you have found in the story. So, I will give you 5 minutes to do it. Then your timer starts now. Okay, class, are you done? Yes. So please pass your paper forward. Then I will choose 5 students to present your work. May I call on Miss Jonalyn to present your work? Then next to Miss Jonalyn, Miss Juna, then followed by Miss Jella, Mr. Riley, and Mr. Jan. Okay, very good class. All of you did great job. So any questions? Clarification? So if none, that's all for today's session. So goodbye class and have a great day. All, thank you.